Okay, guys, I'm going to be doing an Avengers Endgame full film breakdown. I'm doing this in large part because I want to test how long I can do a video for that will upload because I want to do a genuine long one for like the original Star Wars trilogy and go really scene by scene. Cuz I've done that for like the other Star Wars films, but like genuinely go in depth. Go in depth. And genuinely go in depth. You know, not just say, oh, I'm going to go in depth and then go 50-50. So I want to test, because, like, worst case scenario, if this doesn't work, it's not one of my planned videos. I'm just like, oh, yeah, because, like, I have the schedule, like, I'm going to do my Harry Potter reactions. I'm going to do my, different reviews for movies I've seen. I'm going to do my Star Wars full film breakdowns and, ranking every Star Wars character. But this is not obviously on the plan or a list or whatever that I'm planning on doing. So let's just do it to test, as a test. So if it doesn't work and you end up never watching this video and it never gets uploaded on YouTube, oh, who cares? Yes, I could waste an hour and a half of my day, but I'd rather waste it on something I don't want to upload than say if I just said, oh, I'm going to do a new whole breakdown, do it an hour and a half, then I genuinely feel like I wasted my time because everything I say I have to reiterate in another video. So this is kind of like a test type thing. So let's jump right into it. Like I said, I'm doing an Avengers Endgame full film breakdown, scene by scene. So let's jump right into it with that brilliant opening scene with Clint Barton in his house, and his family dusting. Before I saw this film, I definitely predicted, and a lot of people could have predicted, this is going to be the opening scene. But it's such a gut puncher, right from the start, because it's like, as someone like me, I know what it's like to be a family. Because that could have been me. I could have been the kid. I could have been the kid who dusted. And I can imagine what my father would have been like. Just a normal, probably like a weekend. Or he's on house arrest. So for him, every day feels like another good day with his family or whatever. So it's emotional because it's like you knew this coming. But like we haven't really seen like a family. How like normal people get affected by the snap. And here we are. This family. The snap happens and, they get dusted and it is emotional, it's some jokes right before about like, his son wanting ketchup and mustard and when they're like, do you want mayo or mustard? And he's like, ketchup and yeah, and obviously, maybe hinting at, at, Kate Bishop, but yeah, I think like that was an emotional puncher because it's like, okay, we've seen the snap for the Avengers, but we know they snap 50% of our life. What does that look like? Especially for like Hawkeye, who number one is an Avenger, but seeing people non-Avengers, people we've probably seen only a few times, who've had a few lines get snapped. It's emotional, but not because you particularly care about the characters. It's emotional because it's like you realize these are normal people getting affected by the snap. And all Clint can do is just wonder because, like, yes, all the Avengers know what's going on. Thanos must have did something causing half the world to dust. This is like all of a sudden a normal day. Yes, you might have heard, okay, there's stuff going on in New York, but nobody expected half the world just to disappear in a snap. Literally, a snap, not figuratively. And just you don't really see them. You don't see them dust, but you see Clint walking around. But in the background, you don't see them actually dust, but you see the dust sitting there, and it's like you just see the emotion because he's just running around. Laura, kiddos, and it's emotional because he has no idea what's going on. His whole family, people he's been with, because he's been on house arrest. He's been with them for months straight. That's like can you imagine now what it'd be like if like my mom just all of a sudden everybody, I dust, my brother dusts, my dad dusts, and like my mom's still there. It's like it's emotional because you care about these people, period, but you have to adjust to a life without me, who I've been with my mother's ever since what, like March? Like obviously I've been with her, but like 24/7. It's a crazy development. It's crazy. I think like I can only imagine what it feels like, but that just felt so grounded and real. Where it's like when the Avengers dust, I don't know, there's something about it that's like, oh yeah, they dust. Oh, you lose an Avenger. But I don't know, there's something about it that like when Bucky died or dusted, there is still a sense of me that's like, oh, even though I knew that they'll be back in this film, and I just think like that reaction of seeing your family get dusted is a whole new experience that we never saw. Oh yeah, a friend died, a friend got dusted. Oh, it's an Avenger. They'll stay strong. We'll get through it. It's a colleague, if you will, but this is like family. These are kids. Yes, Peter's a teenager. Peter goes to school, but it's like I just think that's okay. He dusted. Okay. But your family, your innocent family, who just are going out to have, breakfast or lunch at the Barton farm, get dusted. It's just that I think there's extra emotion when you just see an innocent family could be affected by this, with kids, and it was just a normal day. Clint's so happy, having the time of his life, in this went down. I think it's emotional. Like they cut straight from that, and there's like no music. It's just when the snap starts to happen, you see the thunder. But it literally, the first shot, you see like an arrow just getting shot, and it's like it's definitely poetic and exciting, and gets the first 5 minutes and it's already gutbuster. So yeah, and then you cut to the Marvel 10 logo and whatever. So after that, you see Tony and Nebula playing finger football. That was a fun, cute little scene. Definitely. Comedy. It's like I think like this film also knows how to do like a good balance of like, how do we have this be an emotional film, but yet have some good comedy elements to it, where it doesn't have to feel like one sad moment after another. It's not a tragedy, but it can have a good balance of sad moments and comedic ones, where it literally goes from Clint's family getting dusted to them playing, to Nebula and Tony having like a funny moment of them playing finger football. So I think that was good and all, and good, and and then obviously and back to emotional moment where Tony has that great message with Pepper that we saw a lot of in the trailer, but in the trailer it was toned up, like a lot less like it was Tony just speaking it. But this was like he's crying and stuff, and it made it emotional because of their last scene in Infinity War, that they were gonna have dinner, and to think not only did they not have dinner, but they probably didn't see each other for like a month. And it's like Pepper didn't know if he was alive. Tony didn't know if Pepper was alive. And I think the most emotional part was like that as he said the message, he was like, God, I hope you're alive. Like that sense of like, he doesn't even know if she's alive. So it's like, not only do you have that a burden of, I don't want to, like he feels that a regret, because it's like, if he dies, he feels there will be a guilt on Pepper, and I think that was, but at the same time, during that whole scene, there's a funny line in Don't Post This on Social Media, and that whole sequence was good, and I love the subtleties in the scene where it's like Nebula gives him, the food, and when Tony goes to rest, Nebula picks him up and puts him on the seat, and Captain Marvel comes to save them, and it's like, we're like, but this happened in like the first 5 minutes of the movie. It's like, you can't get too mad about that. I think that was in a sense of like, just keep going with the story. They say it happens 23 days later, so just go with it. Just go with it. You don't have to complain about, technically in our head it happened 5 minutes into the movie, but we're not in real time. It's 23 days later, so you gotta keep that in mind. And yes, of course, when they cut to Cap, just finished shaving, that was cool and all. And I love seeing the team, and everybody knows, or actually you probably don't know, but obviously Cap's my favorite Avenger just character. I think a large part because his films are the best. That's why I fell in love with him the most. But even in the Avengers films, I love him the most. But yeah, one of my favorite scenes happens now. The scene where Tony and Cap are talking. And this is so, like, I might be Team Cap, but this is so true. So true. Where Tony says key lines of, guess what I said? I said I wanted to build an armor around the world. And then you shut it down, Cap. You shut it down. And you know what you said? You said because when a big threat arrives, we'll work together. And then he said, then we'll lose if it's just us, if it's just the Avengers. And then guess what? And then you're like, but you said, then we'll do that together too. And then one of the best lines of the film is, we lost and you weren't there. Because that's so true, and then I rewatched the scene from Age of Ultron like a few days later, and it was like, where the whole moment where they're like, I was right. Where it's like, in Age of Ultron, Tony's like, I was right. We should have, kept the Avengers the Avengers Iron Man droid suits, and he was like, one day we're gonna have to face a threat up there or something like that. And then Cap's like, that's why we need a suit of armor around the world. And then Cap, same thing here, is like, no, Iron Man, no, Tony, because we'll fight them together as the Avengers. We're the Avengers. We'll fight them as the Avengers. And then Tony says we'll lose. And guess what Cap says? We'll do that together too. And it's just so great irony and poetic that they lost and they were not together. And it is such a huge statistic that Cap and Tony never meet in Infinity War. That is huge. That's a huge statistic. Because it's like, it's absolutely true, but it's like you think of 2 hours, 29 minutes, and literally the repercussions are very much there. Where it's not like, by the end of Civil War they're all friends. Not even by the end of Infinity War are they all friends. It takes to the midpoint of this film for them to be friends. It maybe not necessarily midpoint, but like after like the first hour and stuff. So yeah, I think that was great. And I love the sequence where they go and raid Titan. I think that was great because it's like, where it's like, it's so surprising, so out of nowhere. But yeah, I like, Captain Marvel coming, get few punches on Thanos, Cap and Natasha coming in on the place, choking out Thanos, Rhodey coming, Hulk coming, and then I love Rocket's reaction. And then, so to my shock and awe, this is when I figured, they're going to future and Thanos is going to come. When Thor cuts off his hand and then Stone's not there. I think I obviously predicted that way before the film, way before the trailers even came out with those set photos. But, I mean, seeing that hand without the stones and just Rocket's reaction, like, even though it's CGI, I don't care. It was great. That was great. And I love, Thanos talking about how he got reduced to atoms. And I love Nebula's great callback to Infinity War and Guardians of the Galaxy and all that, where he says, where he talks, Thanos talks, and then he's like, how can we believe him? That's not true. And then, Hulk and his Hulkbuster suit starts punching Thanos, and then Nebula's like, my father is many things, but a liar is not one of them, which is a callback to Infinity War, where Thanos says, Gamora, I've taught you many things, but to lie is not one of them, or probably something different than that, because that's literally a direct line, but some changed a little bit. So yeah, so that was great and all. And then, yeah, Thor just beheads him mid-speech, and that shocked me. I guess not really, because if you're going to cut off his hand, we know it's not previous Thanos. So why is there any use to keep old Thanos? So yeah, I think if you got a sneak peek at the first 20 minutes of the film, because it's about the 20-minute mark, without seeing the rest of the film, even in itself, it's just a great. There's such clear markers to the film. I'd contend there's 4 markers, if you will, 4 key shifts in the film. There's the opening 2018, 20 minutes. Then there's the aftermath. Then there's the whole time travel stuff. And then definitely the longest part of it is the whole final battle and the ending. So yeah, I definitely contend, and when they say 5, I knew it was going to be years, because months. Because if you say 5 months, I don't think that's that significant. You could have just said nothing and then just have a one line say, Cap being like, that was 5 months ago and Thor beheaded Thanos. So I knew it was going to be years. And then 5 years later, and they come up with Ant-Man and the whole rat thing. I wouldn't be mad at that. I wouldn't be mad at that mainly because it makes sense. Because it's in life, there's always going to be luck. So you can't even say, yes. It's a movie, so yes, you could have that as a reason. But let's be honest. In life, people get lucky all the time. And so it's not far-fetched to say. And it's not like this was 1 year later. It's not like it was the next day after they beheaded Thanos. Ant-Man, the rat jumped over the thing. It was 5 years later. So it's even though it was luck that the rat did anything to him in the first place, let's be honest, that was 5 years have passed. It's not like, oh yeah, a rat just stepped on the machine. How clever. No. It's a few things. Luck is okay to happen in films. It happens all the time. Lucky things happen. Just let it be. It happens. Luck is, always a part of some films. Because if in any story, in anything, there's luck. So, that's the truth. And so, but honestly, the surprising thing is not that a rat can do that. It's that a rat didn't do it any sooner. Because literally, in a click of a button, he can be back. Why didn't the rat do it any sooner? Couldn't. So I think it made perfect sense. When I saw it the first time, because when you hear all the theories of what could get Scott out of the quantum realm, it's underwhelming because just a rat. But when you step back and assess a few things, did you want a whole I just thought that was weird. But it's already a 3-hour film, and I hate when people are like, oh yeah, this needs to be explained more. This needs to be explained more because there's so many films that I feel are long films that people were like, this needs an explanation. This needs an explanation. And then I guarantee you, half the films that people want so many people want explanations for this film. It's if you got an explanation, a better thing for Captain Marvel to everybody gets people get mad oh, Captain Marvel saved Iron Man and Nebula in the first 5 minutes of the movie. Okay, you want that to happen in an hour into the movie? Okay, 4-hour film. Do you want it to happen in the 10-minute mark? Okay, that sets at a good pace. Do you want to have it at at the end or never, or what do you want? And so it's I don't know. Same thing here. It's do you want a whole subplot and make this film an hour and 30 minutes just for an explanation for Scott to come back? So I mean, some luck's always gonna happen. I mean, why? I mean, I could name every single film and say one lucky thing that happened. Oh yeah, the pencil magic trick from Joker did. How did Joker know that this guy was gonna come over there? He probably guessed it, but at the same time, it's still luck. Luck pays off, but there's so many films with luck. So I have no problem with that. Great community reference with with doc, Dr. Mr. Chow, Ben Chow in the background. But no, another emotional sequence was when Scott saw the wanted posters and started to piece together what happened. And then he goes and sees like the aisles of the fallen victims. And I think that was very cool, but very interesting, because it was very this was like a huge event. It really the way that this film deals with the weight of it was great, because it's oh yeah, I forgot a scene, the whole meeting scene with Cap in the therapist group meeting. That was cool when he's like, I love also the line where it's the world's in our hands. We have to do something with it, or Thanos should have killed all of us. That was a powerful line, because like I said, I love Cap, and he's so true in that moment. Even though he knows he can't let go, the emotional part is we know that he can't let go, but yet his whole lesson of that group therapy meeting was to tell other people to let go who haven't let go. Yeah. So yeah. I think that was very one of those it felt like when you go to DC, there's this whole memorial of all the people who died during the war, different wars. That felt like me. This it really made me feel the impact that it had. This was an event. This was a global traumatic thing, which obviously it was, but it was crazy. And then obviously him going to Cassie and seeing that he was 5 years older was definitely emotional, because no, and once again you take yourself into your own shoes. What would that be like if I haven't seen I haven't seen my father in 5 years, and I'm now 15 or whatever. That's emotional. In Scott's perspective, I haven't seen my daughter in 5 years, and she's all grown up. I think there is a sense of heavy emotion to that, and that was emotional because Scott doesn't recognize that girl, and yet he doesn't care. It's his daughter. He's gonna run up to her, and she's still a little bit sad that obviously the Pims didn't survive the snap, but he's just so elated that his daughter's there. It doesn't look like her mother survived the snap, or that other police guy, which is definitely emotional that she seems like she has to live on his own. But I don't know, that's entirely true. And then you have that great meeting sequence with Cap and Natasha. And I like the nod with the peanut butter and stuff. And obviously Captain Marvel cut her hair, which is fine. And then, Rocket's there, Okoye's there. And I like that kind of, and War Machine's there. And I love when they all hang up, and it's just War Machine and Natasha. And they're talking, right? And then he's like, we found Clint. And then she's like, where? Because I think Clint, Clint never seemed like he was a love interest to her. They didn't maybe they used to love each other, but never at this point. They're just family almost. And so for family, to be gone, because let's be honest, she never had real family. Yes, she did, and we'll get into that in Black Widow film, but she never had real family, not just family by blood, but family by feelings, family by compassion. And that was kind of what Clint was. And so I love when War Machine's you don't want to know. It was emotional, and it really was, because it's you understand, we saw at the very beginning what Clint's been through, so you understand, you agree with War Machine, you see, yeah, you don't want to see what Clint's been through. So that was crazy, and I think she doesn't care. War Machine's oh yeah, he went to Mexico, killed people, and it's I think, and it's not I think people take this idea of him killing people lightly, because yes, you might say, oh, he's killing bad guys, but in an excusable amount that deserve death. Because it's like, there's one thing when you're a bad guy because you kill people, but what if you're a good guy who kills people? Like, I just think that's an interesting idea where it's like, the Avengers don't stand for, like, Avengers are supposed to help. Like, I think people throw around this superhero idea of superheroes are soldiers. Superheroes are meant to kill. And all that's not true. Where it's like, Superman doesn't even throw a punch unless he very much has to. Because a superhero saves people. Superheroes don't have villains. Superheroes save people. Superheroes save people from the bad guys. What do they do from the bad guys? They stop them. They don't kill them. They stop them, but put them in jail. So it definitely makes that anti-hero vibes where it's like, yes, the Avengers have killed people. They all in their own right have killed people. Mercenaries on that. But when you kill someone for a mission, or when you kill someone because they're holding hostages, or when you kill someone because they're threatening to destroy the world, or you kill machines and you kill robots and someone, an eco-terrorist, or you're trying to stop a mad titan, that's okay because they're all trying to destroy the world or have hostages, or the only way to stop them from killing another person is to kill them. And I think this is an interesting idea of like, what if you just kill drug thieves? What if you just kill to kill? Kill to kill. Because let's be honest, Clint Barton had no motivation to go out and kill, drug dealers. He had no mercenaries, whatever. He had no intention to do that until the snap. So I think he's using it as like as a escape. And to kill as an escapism, obviously is wrong. So you get the idea of the anti-hero, but you feel for him. So there's definitely that sense of emotional, but yet you know that it's not right. And you can just see the emotion on Natasha's face, where she knows that. She knows that, yeah, the killing is not good. It's not good. But she knows what he's been through. He knows that his family's gone, just by the implications of all that. So, yeah, and then Steve comes, and then I love the chat between Steve and Natasha, because it's like, it's so real, in that you understand. He's literally saying, I tell everybody to move on, not us, not us. It's just, I love the optimism that Cat brings, because one of the first lines is less boats around Staten Island. Like his first line is a peak of optimism. Oh, there's less boats around the Statue of Liberty or whatever. There should be really no boats really around Statue of Liberty. Oh yeah, the beached whale that went back into the water. Like that's the brightest news you could bring us. There's less boats around the Statue of Liberty. So, but at the same time, he's always bringing optimism. That's why I love Cap, because he's like, in the darkest of times, he's not about to say, oh Natasha, 1 billion people are dead. No, he's gonna say there's less boats around Staten Island, whatever. I think that was definitely important. That's part of why I love him. And then he made peanut butter jam sandwich, and peanut butter and jam sandwich and she cuts it how she likes it, and how Nick Fury likes it as well, with it cut. Actually, I think that's how Nick doesn't like it, or something like that. But yeah, she eats it, and they talk, and they just talk about like this idea of like she lost her family, because she was talking about like her Avengers were this family, and it's interesting how the Avengers deal with loss, because they really ever have to. They really have to, and I think especially Natasha, because when you think about it, she has no connection to anyone except the Avengers. Like we said, the Avengers are never in trouble, but at least Steve's seen Peggy die. At least Steve was frozen in ice for 70 years. Tony, his parents are dead. Bruce became the Hulk. Is that not big enough? Thor lost entire Asgard. Or before that, lost his mother. Lost her mother. And so yeah, I think that was always exciting and stuff. Oh my god! I told you. Whatever. But yeah. So what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, everybody in the Avengers have dealt with some loss, but when you think of Natasha, as far as we've seen, I'm probably gonna see some loss in Black Widow, but like loss of someone she cares about, never. As far as we've known, because she's never had any real attachment to anyone. So the Avengers were her family. The Avengers were people she was attached to and close to, because part of being a spy is you can't be that attached to anyone. Can't have feelings for anyone, but as an Avenger, you have a camaraderie together. You have a family together. You are the Avengers. You live together, whatever. So, I think how she deals with loss is definitely and powerful and definitely great and stuff. So, I think that was important and all that stuff. But yeah, in general, but yeah. So moving forward, shit, it's raining a little bit. But moving on. So yeah, and then Scott comes to the door, and they talk about this whole time travel thing, and then they go to Tony, and I love the scene with Tony and his daughter, and all that. So that was great, and stuff with his daughter. And then let's see. So they have the whole moment with his daughter. Where they're talking, and then she has the helmet on. And then he's like, go to mommy. And then they go to Pepper. And then they see, Steve come and Natasha come. And I love the line, go put it back. But it's fine. Your mother never uses it anyways, which is a good nod to when rescue ends up coming. And then Steve are there, and Natasha's there. Scott's there. And I think what I enjoy about Tony is he brings an interesting perspective. He brings a perspective of someone who's gained because of all this. Because we talk so much about loss. And even then, he lost some people. He lost some Avengers. He's lost Peter. But in an overall sense, between how everybody else lost, in many ways he gained. And so I think he brings an interesting perspective. Where constantly during this whole meeting, he constantly denies the fact of time travel. Constantly. In his head, he knows he probably could do it. Because it's not the same Tony. The old Tony would be like, oh, do we want to create multiple dimensions? I'll try that. This Tony is denying it because he doesn't want to accept the fact that he could lose what he has. Where he's open about this idea that he gained. And that if we do this, we cannot lose what he has. That's why he can't do this. That's why he keeps shutting it down. That's why you can do it, but I can't be a part of it because he just struggles with this idea of he has so much and to be thankful for that nobody else can, but that billionaire playboy philanthropist, this Iron Man, this jock, this cocky, billionaire cannot resist who he is. He's going to have to try, and you've seen him try. You've seen him try to fix it. And even though even then, Scott's talking and stops babbling about time travel and like all the steps in quantum realm and all that quantum realm time travel. He's like, no, that can't work. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do all this and this and this and this. But and Steve's pushing it, and Natasha pushing it. But in Tony's head, he knows I've gained. It's not the same Tony who has nothing to lose, who wants to save the world, who wants to put armor around the world. He's moved on in the past 5 years. He's grown a life. He's moved past the thing the thing that almost became him, the thing that corrupted him. He became a new man, a man who cares about other things, who has other passions besides being Iron Man. But at the same time, I love that he can't deny who he is. He can't deny that even though he's still who he is. And then we move on to the Hulk scene. The Hulk scene is definitely, obviously, the most forgettable. And not forgettable. I guess least important scene. But it still had some great comedic relief. I really like Professor Hulk. Professor Hulk, I really like. I like him because it is the mix of both worlds. I think I'll prefer real Smash and Hulk. I think that best of both worlds thing did bring an interesting thing because, like I said, for a lot of these characters, you've seen them in in Hulk's case, you've seen him cross now for 5 different films. So I think bringing a fresh taste to Hulk and a fresh perspective of the characters is always good because, like, I think they paid off. I think the way he talks, like Hulk, like a mixture between Hulk and Banner. The way he looks, like the face is like Banner, but like obviously the body's Hulk, and very much, and the mannerisms of the brains of Bruce, but definitely the body type of the Hulk. So I think all of that was good and great and all that stuff. And like Hulk out. And then he's like, "Oh, I'm Ant-Man. Yeah, it was a good scene, but not obviously in the grand scope of things. If you had to go to the bathroom in the theaters, this would be the scene. This would be the scene, probably. But yeah, and then they have the whole scene where Tony, I guess solves time travel. I guess for lack of any better words, solves time travel. And yeah, and then he goes, and then the whole where he says the S word, and then she's like, fit, and like, don't repeat that word. Mommy says it or whatever, and then they go, and then they type, and I love Tony's story. Not because it's a good story, but because it is very fitting to what happened. And it's interesting because, like, I think Morgan also brings an interesting perspective of someone who who is born after the snap and knows no other way. That's kind of like, because when Tony says, the story is, once upon a time, the end. That's not a very good story. And it's like, obviously, she's born into a world after all these traumatic events. And I think that's interesting. And then obviously she says, I love you 3000, and she's like, wow, 30,000. That was great. It obviously becomes, such an iconic line, I love you 3000. But yeah, I think I think what makes it interesting is it's not like, I love you 1,000, I like you 1,000,000, I like you 10, I like you 100. It's like a random number, 3,000. And then Tony's acting all weird because in his brain he's like, I solved time travel, but it's still weighing on his mind. Even though I solved it, that doesn't mean I'm gonna run with it, because he just can't live with himself if he loses everything. But then at the same time, he sees a picture of Peter, and then he's like, it's a struggle for him because he sees what he did lose, but then immediately he turns to Pepper and it's like he sees what he gained. And I just think it is an interesting overall ideology of choice. But I feel like another thing weighing on his mind is this whole Doctor Strange giving up the Time Stone. I'm sure of it. Because like Doctor Strange saved his life. He wouldn't do that if he knew he was gonna die and never come back. So I think a bunch of stuff genuinely weighed in his mind. So much stuff, so much different places he could have gone with that, weighing on his mind and saying, you know what, blah 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 blah. And so yeah, I think that was definitely interesting. And then he goes to Pepper and says, I solved it. I solved time travel. And he's like, good for you. Good. And I think this was an emotional scene, and definitely a great full circle scene in some ways, where Tony is the one who doesn't want to jump back and become Iron Man and save the world. Because I think all Tony needed was a new perspective, and that was being a father, that was being a husband. But now it's suddenly Pepper, and she says it in the scene. My whole life, my whole dream was to get you to stop. But now when I want you to, become Iron Man and save the world again, you don't want to. And I think it's not that Pepper doesn't love her daughter, doesn't love Tony, doesn't love her life. It's that Pepper knows Tony. Because, let's be honest, she doesn't want to lose all of this just as much as he doesn't. But Pepper knows Tony. And Pepper's like, saving half the world, saving this world is worth every little penny, every shot. And also because Pepper knows Tony very well, so at the very least, she knows her good, and she knows him good enough. Though let's be honest, Tony can't live with him. And then he's like, so Tony's like, because like Pepper says, I can't sleep knowing that Morgan's not going to be okay. And then Pepper's like, but can you sleep not doing that, or something like that? Or like, but can you sleep at night knowing there's a chance to reverse all that? Because like I said, Pepper knows Tony. And so obviously Tony says go. Pepper says go for it. And then they have the whole time travel sequence. And it was cool. It was, again, another funny sequence. I think, like, that dynamic, that duo between Hulk and Scott really collides to make it, some real funny stuff. Where they're like, he goes, shrinks. Oh, it's baby Scott. Zoop. Oh, it's old man Scott. Oh, it's kid Scott. Oh, it's regular Scott. Did I pee? And it's like, there's pee. Was that old me? Was that baby me? Or just me? Yeah, that was interesting. Right, and then I also love the line where he's like, where he says, make sure you do something to come back. And then Natasha's like, are you serious? Is this gonna work? And then Hulk's like, it's either all a joke or none of it is. Meaning, like, yeah, you have to be serious about this. And so yeah, obviously it doesn't work the way they want it to work. Tony runs with his car, and I love when he gives the shield. And then I think that was a definitive moment where they make up and be friends. Where it's like, even though they saw each other in the beginning of the film, they were on very negative terms. But this very much turned it around for them to once again be friends. And I think that was definitely a big turning point of all of that. So, let me move over here. And, and then, they're like, we are getting the whole team together. And after he says, keep it on the low. I didn't get everybody a shield. And they're like, we're all getting the whole team together. And then they have like that song playing, and there's a nice lighthearted moment where Scott puts out, tacos, sets it out nicely, and then War Machine just jumps. Or not War Machine, the Benatar lands. All the meat and lettuce falls off the tacos. Then War Machine jumps. All the tacos fall. what's up, tiny dude? And then, Hulk being the big the big sweetheart, the big teddy bear. What's it called again? Being the lovable giant that he is. Gives him one of his tacos, which is, a great lighthearted scene. Then Rocket and Hulk go off to New Asgard in New Zealand. I think it was good that it was in New Zealand as opposed to New Orleans like it is in the comics. Definitely because there's been a lot of development in New Orleans with that's being where Odin goes, and it has a lot of history of Norse mythology there. And then you see Valkyrie, and actually I'm surprised. I'm surprised that Valkyrie had more screen time than I thought. And I see that because I thought, oh yeah, maybe just the final battle, and that's it. But she actually has a scene there, and then she has the scene at the end. I don't know. It's not a lot, but compared to what I thought, maybe a line and one little clip of an action sequence. But yeah, I think New Asgard has a lot of potential to be explored, obviously with half the population and all that. And then they go, and then they see Korg, and then they see Fat Thor. What do I think about Fat Thor? Well, let's put it in context. A few things why Thor would end up being fat. It's Thor being fat is his way of reacting to losing his mother, then his father, his mother and father. That's bad enough. His brother, his best friend in Heimdall, brother in Loki, father in Odin, mother in Frida, and best friend in Heimdall. Then he loses half of Asgard. Okay. Then, earlier he lost his eye. Even before that, he lost Mjolnir. After he lost Mjolnir, he lost a lot of his hair. Okay. What's after that? Then he has an opportunity to stop Thanos. He doesn't stop Thanos. Damn it. And then he snaps. And then now he lost half the world. On top of losing his family, his best friend, half of Asgard, and now half the world. And to him, it feels like that was his responsibility. That was his responsibility. So I think as far as him being fat, it makes sense. That's his response to being depressed, to having all that guilt. Why would Thor want to stay in shape when to him there is no motivation to even really live? He's just playing Fortnite, and so drinking beer and an alcoholic. So I think that was all grounded. They did make a lot of jokes about him being fat, but they didn't just only do it for a punchline. They did for a punchline to a joke in like the Thor Lebowski, but there was still more to it than that. As far as I could have I could have foreseen. There was definitely more to it than that. So I don't know. There's something about it that I really did enjoy about that, and I think it was a nice step forward for the character. Where it's like I said, similar to Hulk, we've seen so much of the normal Hulk. Why don't we step into a world where Thor's just not normal Thor, where he's not the simply just God, where he has emotion to him. So yeah, this is gonna be it as far as me ending this breakdown. This I guess will be part 1. But I don't know if I'll get back to a part 2. You know what? I will. But I've been doing this for almost 50 minutes now. And I'm definitely, if I could do like a long video, like I guess if sometime I could do like a long video. But I'm thirsty. I have to go to the bathroom. I'm getting hungry. So I think that's an element to making long videos that I don't really edit. And I just take it in one long take. That's what's kind of hard about it, is like, if you have to go pee or go to the bathroom, whatever, you have to go to the bathroom. If you have to take a sip of water, you have to find water. if you're hungry, you gotta eat. And so that's definitely something huge weighing on me. So, yeah, stay tuned for more videos coming at you.